these artificial intelligence models are going to have a playground to train themselves. So let's say someone creates flying cars, right? We can figure out all the problems with flying cars in the metaverse, perfect the flying car AI model in the metaverse before we build it out in the real world. And then by the time we build this flying car model out in the real world, it flies exactly the way it flies in the metaverse.
Welcome to our podcast for the day for Medallion XLN. I am Gary Robinson, CAO, Client Acquisition Officer of Medallion XLN, along with my fearless leader, Dwayne Campbell, CEO of Medallion XLN. And we're here today to talk about Medallion XLN.
Yep.
So, without further delay,
exactly.
Let's get it, Dwayne.
Yeah, so welcome everyone to another episode of the podcast. You know, since we started this podcast, we've been interviewing a lot of different people in the blockchain space, and we've been learning a lot about their project, but we haven't been learning as much about our project. And since we are on the cusp of launching, I really want us to set aside some time to learn more about Medallion XLN, what our plans are for the future, you know, some of the cool things that we need to raise money for, and various other topics. So let's get started. So Gary, how you doing today, man?
Yes, I'm great, man. How are you?
Doing good. I have to say, I am really impressed with the articles that you have been writing, because each article that you write is it reaches a different segment of people that blockchain doesn't normally like advertise to, right? Because you wrote an article about vegans and how vegans are using the blockchain to kind of incentivize sustainability. Then you also wrote another article about the guy who ran across America, I think from San Francisco to Boston, was it? I don't remember.
Right, to Boston.
Yeah. So tell me what your thought process is when you're writing these articles.
I try to, because I'm not a super tech person, and you're the one who introduced me to blockchain and Bitcoin and all the digital assets. You introduced me to that whole world. So I look at my articles from someone who is not in that field. So I try to find things that either I've tried or I can relate to, which a lot of sports. I'm not a vegan, but I do frequent vegan restaurants. I'm an actor, so I look for things in entertainment. NFTs have helped people raise money for their entertainment projects, like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. I just try to find something that other people probably wouldn't write about in that realm. Healthcare, how blockchain is helping in healthcare field. It's just kind of I just look at topics. Now I try to see if there's anything related to that topic in the blockchain or crypto world, and then try to tie them together in my articles.
And that's one of the things I really like about having you on the team as well as a few other people because you don't come from a I already know it all perspective. You come from a I am learning perspective, and you don't have like all the technical details. You haven't been in here for 10 months, 10 years, and you're jaded by the ups and downs of the market. Like your perspective is very fresh. And I think that's why a lot of your articles do better than mine, which I'm kind of mad at. But hey,
I wouldn't say you do better than yours.
well, right now
we just have different approaches. We just have different approaches.
Well, right now the top article on the Medallion XLN newsletter is yours, which is Run Forest Run. It's really good. So I just need to come up with a better one, so I could be number one again, which is where I belong, right? That's why I'm the CEO.
Yes.
Yeah. So
well, your articles are like a professor writing, his article for his students. Is like a chapter out of his book. So it's very educational, very informative, and definitely something I would never attempt to write.
Well,
I write for the common man. That's what I do.
Well, like there's a reason behind that. Like, so since I'm going to be sitting down, writing the article, writing my thoughts and stuff, I don't want to waste that space, right? So I want to actually learn something. So a lot of the information that I'm writing about, I'm actually researching that as I'm writing the article, which is, why there's all these different links to these different URLs, because that's where I'm getting my information from. And from there, like it keeps me updated on the latest trends in the market as far as blockchain, artificial intelligence, and the metaverse. And it helps us, or helps me, to shape the direction of Medallion XLN and where we're going. And, what's the cutting edge as far as technology right now, and how Medallion XLN in our current use case can kind of get ahead of that and be on top in the long run.
Right. Like when we did the podcast with Rami with a router protocol.
Rom.
But router protocol, he was very interesting. Even not being super technical on my end, I picked up a lot of things about what the company did, and I could see how it would help us in our business.
Right. Especially one of the parts that stuck out to me in that podcast was when he said that it's better to not release a token if you are in a fundraising mode, which we are right now, because blockchain evaluations are so hard to predict that it's good to raise money on the idea as opposed to raise money when your token is already out and people can measure, like, okay, so this token has been out for this long and it's only doing this much volume. It's a lot harder to raise money in that scenario, which segues into our ICO right now. And I'm sure a lot of people are watching this wondering why the ICO is not out yet. And the ICO is not out yet because you guys aren't hyped enough. Like I'm not sensing hype, right? Like in all these other projects, people are going crazy, posting emojis all the time, and everyone's just so laid back in the Medallion XLN community. I'm like, what are they doing? So I'm gonna push back the ICO until I sense that the community's hyped enough and ready for the project. And at that point, I'll release it, because, once our token is out, like, we don't have anywhere to hide. Like right now, we can hide behind big ideas. But once our token is out, people are going to be like analyzing us from the perspective of like, how much money is our token generating on a daily basis, right? And I'd rather have us at a position where, the community's hyped, the community's participating in our different NFT collections, our partnerships with Shinobi International Clothing Company, which are coming out with some amazing avatars. On my previous article, I posted a few of the avatars that they're coming out with, like 3 or 4. Like they have such a diverse array of avatars coming at you that's going to completely shake the market. And I'm really excited that they are using the Medallion XLN website to actually mint those tokens. So that's
very cool.
Very exciting. Yeah. So pretty much the reason why they want to use Medallion XLN to mint these avatars is because of the features that we provide, which is we're going to go deeper into features such as tracking the dependency of all the participants in an asset, right? And let me break that down a little bit more. So what that means is, like, when you make a movie, for example, there's a lot of people that go into the creation of the movie, right? There's the actors, there's the directors, there's the cinematographers, there's the sound guys, there's the lighting guys. And in Web 2, this wasn't even a thing. This wasn't even a problem to solve, right? It was, you get paid up front, right? And then we release the movie, and the people in the background make all the money, right? But with this new, with Web3 and the new possibilities available to us, we can now create content in a new way that distributes value to all the participants in a movie. So, for example, like, we have all the actors listed as dependencies on the asset, all the cinematographers and all the directors and people who contributed. And now with Web3, we can actually determine how much percentage each participant receives whenever someone views the movie, right? So if the movie, for example, costs, I don't know, like 20
million.
Let's say if the movie costs $5, or I think $15 is what movies cost nowadays to see it in the movie theater. So if
to see the movie for a ticket.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if the movie costs like $15 per person viewing the movie, then Medallion XLN allows you to break down the distribution of each person involved in the creation of the movie. So let's say the director, he gets like 5%, while each actor gets like 2% each, and so on and so forth. And you can actually break down the distribution of each person involved in creating this movie on the Medallion XLN platform, which is a huge use case that I don't think much people or much NFT platforms provide. And this is what's going to separate Medallion XLN from our competition and pretty much allow us to be a top 3 currency, which is my goal. Yeah.
Right. So normally in a production like that, the actors and producers and directors would get paid. But the crew, the grips and everybody behind the scene, they get their salary for being part of the project. But this allows those people to get a percentage of the revenue as well.
Exactly.
Depending on how you set up the contract, depending on who did the film, you can include everybody you want to, percentage wise.
Yep.
So that's what makes it different, correct?
That's one of the things that makes it different. There's from my perspective, there's about 3 core properties that makes a Medallion XLN NFT different from anything else that's on the market, right? And we're going to go into a lot of this. But as far as what you said, let's imagine in a world where a Medallion XLN token is possible, a mintable NFT is possible, right? Now, the monetization model, as far as incentive is concerned, of how we monetize this movie is different. So instead of us going into a movie, let's say you're on a shoestring budget, instead of going in, but you have a great idea, right? That a lot of people are excited about. Instead of saying, okay, I have to raise all this money to produce this movie, right? We can get
Right.
all these people together and, you know, have everyone agree to their distribution as far as how much money they're going to get per sale, right? And do the movie. And then once it's released, then each person will constantly get a portion of the value of the movie distributed to their wallets, right? Which is
Right.
going to completely revolutionize the way that that collaboration is done, right? Which is one of our core values. One of our core values, like we have collaboration, we have decentralization, we have censorship resistance, and a few others. I don't have the white paper in front of me. Read the white
Right.
paper, by the way. It's good stuff. Good stuff. We have like huge ideas, and huge achievable ideas, which is something I'm very excited about.
Yeah, it was put together very, very well. The one of the core values also I know is to make sure that when everyone is treated equally, everyone treated well. From the people that come on to Medallion XLN as clients to everyone working at Medallion XLN also. That's more of a family atmosphere versus just a numbers and business aspect of of bringing people in to bring revenue in. It's more client based, more hands-on. Where if someone is onboarded with Medallion XLN in the capacity of a customer, that they have a one-on-one with someone, the person that brought them in. So they have any questions, they have any issues or complaints, that they have that person they can talk to, so they're not having to tell the same story to 15 different people to get something resolved or to get a question answered. Mm-hmm. So that's something that we strive to do once things are up and running.
Yeah. So what you're talking about is your department. So Medallion XLN is separated into different departments, and I try
Correct.
to choose the best people to man those departments. And of course, you are in charge of that department, sales, Gary. So pretty much my vision behind that is I'm trying to solve a problem, right? Because right now, as tech continues to progress, right, I feel like the current industry is working on a platform model, right? And in this platform model, you're just a number, right? You're just whatever your number is, right? And
correct.
I think that capitalism as a whole is moving towards this new paradigm, right? This new paradigm with Web3 and the many new options that Web3 gives us, right? Capitalism is moving towards this new paradigm of, instead of the platform, owning all your data and just doing whatever they want with it, there's a community model that's being developed with the advent of Web3, which is why you see, so many people who are passionate about the Bored Ape Yacht Club and everything that Yuga Labs is doing. It's because, like, they developed this community first, right? My daughter's in the background. Okay, come, hurry up. All right. So capitalism is moving towards a community model because each person is now an owner of their own data. So it is up to each individual to collaborate with different ideas that they align with, right? And then when they align with these ideas, they use their capital to contribute to the development of these ideas, right? And that's the new community model that capitalism is moving towards. And Medallion XLN, we're trying to be ahead of the game, right? We don't want to play catch up. We want to be ahead, and we want people to catch up to us, right? We want to be the trendsetters in the blockchain realm and understand the different problems that currently exist and how, and where it's going and how we should build ourselves to respond to, this advent of a new technology, pretty much. It's a complicated idea. Like, I know I've stuttered a lot, but I'm trying to explain it. Like, I understand it in my head, but I'm trying to like put it into words, right? Did that make sense, or should I try again?
No, it makes sense. Well, it makes sense 'cause I've heard you say it before. So, and in different words, but yeah, I understood that.
Could you repeat what I said so I know that you understood it?
No.
Absolutely not. No, but no, you said that Medallion wants to be ahead of it, not be playing catch up. So we want to be ahead as far as how we handle our business as a whole, not just client acquisition, but the business as a whole, to be ahead of it. So we're not joining everybody in where they are now, but basically they'll be trying to catch up to where we are, basically.
Yeah.
By being ahead of the game.
Yeah. So, one thing that I notice as an opportunity zone is the metaverse, right? Right now, people think that the metaverse is just this 3D world that you have to put on this huge VR goggles and to run around in this 3D virtual world and do whatever you do in this 3D world. And I kind of see beyond that. Like, that's the initial use case, and that's the use case everyone is tackling now. And Facebook, their use case is they want people to be able to work in the metaverse and collaborate. Like, someone could be in Alaska, another person could be in Norway, and they collaborate together in this virtual space, which is another use case. And that's an interesting use case as well. I think where the metaverse is really going to be, popular to the point where people will rather go into the metaverse than like log into a website. I think that point is going to be like a community focused kind of building, like a community collaborative space. I think that's what it is. And what I mean by that is that various creators in the metaverse can pretty much build out their world and also allow other users to interface in that world and kind of have different incentives to contribute to that world as well. Right. So I think you're too old to know what anime is. Do you know what anime is?
No.
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool. So there's a genre. My bad. There's a genre of anime called isekai, right? And isekai pretty much means like hero from another world. And what that means is like it's a whole genre of anime where a person is from this world, like an animated version, right? And they log into a metaverse, and now they're like they're living in a whole separate world with new rules and monsters and dungeons and stuff like that to slay, and it's completely immersive, right? And I think that is the end goal of the metaverse, and that's the type of metaverse that Medallion XLN wants to build, because we want to build a world where people can be immersed and not even know that it's a separate reality. It kind of just blends together, right? Because, and just expanding on that idea a little bit more, like what's really going to sell that is new ways to interface in the metaverse, right? So the janky, huge VR headsets, like that's only this generation. And generations in the future, like people will be able to blink and then go into the metaverse, right? Like contact lenses, glasses like the ones I'm wearing. Like this is the future of how people will be able to interface in the metaverse, right? And that's the type of thing that we want to build. And like what I think is interesting with what's going on with Meta is how, like, I don't want to say aversive they are to blockchain, but blockchain, it comes with a few incentive models, right? That allows creators to actually like commit their time into building this metaverse without having to worry about like how they're going to live and eat and stuff like that. So blockchain kind of solves that problem. So it allows people to, build. And then on top of that, like there's going to be a new advertising model that's going to be interfaced over the metaverse. So people will be able to, in their favorite worlds, go to McDonald's or KFC or whatever the case is and order something from the metaverse McDonald's or restaurant and have that food delivered to their house. I think that's the future of the entire metaverse, as well as like the new e-commerce model, which is, well, it's not new. It's like the same as it is now, only it's going to be more, I feel like there's going to be a magnifying glass on it. And that's going to be like one of the only ways that things run, which is like kind of having these food delivery platforms, deliver your food and deliver your different consumables.
How would that in your mind actually work versus calling a DoorDash or having delivered from your favorite pizza place? How do in the metaverse, how do they know exactly who's ordering it and where it's going?
Well, that would be part of the information that you submit that will be attached to your avatar. So your avatar is actually another huge part of the metaverse, right? Because the avatar is a representation of you and your data with that avatar, right? So your avatar is going to keep track of, what your wallet address is, like who you are in that wallet address, like all the money you have, all the different apps that you have access to, and different things like that. But the thing is, you have control over your avatar, right? And you have control over, the information that's present in that avatar, right? So, So when you're ordering like food from KFC in the metaverse, like whatever information you provide as far as like address, if that's available on the avatar, then that's how like that information will be transferred to the metaverse representation of KFC. And then they'll use that information to get you your food, right? And of course, your avatar is the one with the wallet, right? So if you're ordering from KFC, it's going to cost like what, $10 or whatever, however much KFC costs nowadays. So that $10 gets transferred from your avatar to this metaverse representation, and then that food gets delivered, right? I think artificial. So another part on top of that is artificial intelligence. So there's the metaverse, there's blockchain, now there's artificial intelligence. And what artificial intelligence is going to do is going to provide ease of use in the metaverse. So pretty much, let's go back to a person who's creating their own world, right? Like this person might not be artistically, inclined. right? But he has a vision in his mind of how he wants this world to be, how he wants each object in this world to be. And artificial intelligence, such as DALL-E 2 and Google Image, or Imagine, I think it's called, also NVIDIA's artificial intelligence, like all these different artificial intelligence can be used to probably with voice commands or even a description that you type out to render these different 3D objects that the person in the metaverse would use to build out their world, right? So another thing artificial intelligence can do is to automate things, right? So when we build out these different worlds in the metaverse, you know, we might have a train system, right? Subway system that takes you, like, your world could be vast and it'll take probably like 20 minutes to go from one end to the other. And your train system can take you to different places of the world in, you know, a minute or maybe 30 seconds, right? So artificial intelligence is going to be able to validate, or not even validate, artificial intelligence is going to be able to automate these different mechanisms that allow for world traversal. Now, while doing that, these new inventions that are going to be created in the metaverse, they will also be transferred into the real world, right? So pretty much like artificial intelligence is going to allow these different models. So let's say we're training a model for a flying car, right? So it's going to allow these models to be trained in this virtual world, right? And, you know, this virtual world is going to have similar, or some of the virtual worlds are going to have similar properties to traverse the world as our world. So the gravity is going to be, you know, a similar weight of heaviness, like, you know, and the way objects react to their surroundings is going to be similar to the way objects react to surroundings in this world, right? And these artificial intelligence models are going to have a playground to train themselves. So let's say someone creates flying cars, right? We can figure out all the problems with flying cars in the metaverse and what makes them crash and what makes them fly and what makes them, you know, and what kind of AI is going to be needed in order to, you know, traverse Z space and Y space or whatever. And when we do that, we can perfect the flying car AI model in the metaverse before we build it out in the real world. And then by the time we build this flying car model out in the real world, it flies exactly the way it flies in the metaverse, right? So there's so many possibilities when we bring blockchain, artificial intelligence, and the metaverse together into this new like soup, and it's just, this is the future. This is the future of everything, pretty much. Like, this is the new internet: blockchain, artificial intelligence, and the metaverse. That's the new internet, and that's what Medallion is building towards.
So you had the basics of something that you wanted to create, and you did put it in the metaverse. It would just automatically just keep updating and learning how to make that item or that better and make it function the way that you want it to function, as long as you have the basic idea of what you want it to do.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, DALL-E 2, I just got access to DALL-E 2 a few weeks ago, and pretty much it allows you to generate anything at all, anything possible. You can change the art style. You could create like 3D renders. You can make the AI say, hey, I want a Da Vinci painting of Dwayne and Gary sitting on this podcast talking about the metaverse. And it'll do that. And one thing I'm really surprised about is its interpretation of what it thinks you want, right? Because
Right.
I was testing it, right? And I asked it, give me an iPhone, right? So it gave me an iPhone. I was like, okay, that's so far so good. And I wanted to go a layer deeper. And I said, give me an iPhone as planets in the solar system in the Andromeda galaxy, right?
Okay.
So when I did that, it gave me an iPhone of iPhones inside an iPhone. Like it was interesting because that's not what I expected it to do, but
Right.
it's just interesting the way like artificial intelligence kind of understands what we want versus how we understand what we want, right? Like it has its own unique interpretation, and there's different ways that you can like whittle it down until you finally get the type of result you're looking for. But it's very interesting.
So you said you wanted to create a bicycle that you could ride on the ocean.
Yeah,
It would try to figure that out.
yeah. It will do that. It will create a bicycle that you can ride on the ocean. And matter of fact, just for this podcast, I'm gonna type that prompt in DALL-E 2 and see what it comes up with, and I'll
Okay.
share it on the below the post. A bicycle that you could ride on the ocean. Let's see what it comes up with. But like just like Google and the advent of the search engine completely revolutionized our access to information, like this type of artificial intelligence technology, when it becomes available to the public, like on a mass scale, is going to completely create just new concepts that no one has even imagined, right? And
Right.
this is one of the integral parts of creating a type 3 civilization, right? So there's this thing called the Kardashev scale, right? And the Kardashev scale measures a civilization based on the amount of energy that they use. And right now we're in a type 0 civilization, which means that we are subject to extinction, right? If we run out of all the fossil fuels that we use to produce energy, like we're done for. And we're already seeing a little bit of that with the war in Ukraine and the Russian gas prices and all this stuff. But
Right.
the problem isn't the war in Ukraine or the Russian gas price. The problem is our dependency on fossil fuels. But there's a huge battery in the sky that we could be using, and that would help us to reach a more sustainable world, right? Like the sun
Right.
is available 24/7 all over the world, right? And if we could figure out a
Right.
way, actually we have figured out a way. We have solar panels, and these solar
Right.
panels like absorb energy from the sun, convert it into energy that's usable for mechanisms, and then power these mechanisms. And in some cases, it provides so much power to these mechanisms that these mechanisms have energy left over. So suppose we apply this this concept to every sort of machine that needs energy, right? Suppose we apply this
Right.
concept to factories, so no more carbon dioxide or being pumped into the atmosphere. So we apply it to cars. We apply it to cows because cows are one of the biggest carbon producers. We got to take those things out. I'm joking.
Come on, Dwayne.
But the point is, like, there's a path forward that we can use to make a more sustainable world for all of us, right? And
Right.
I think one of the biggest reasons why we're not going down that path is because politics and regulatory capture and industry just being incentivized to use these outdated methods as opposed to transferring themselves to new methods, and and propaganda. You know, there's a lot of propaganda out about, oh, you don't want to use solar panels. It's communist. You don't want to be a communist, do you? So, you know, it's. I feel like it's up to a few people to kind of push over the domino and allow this domino effect to take over to the point that we can use sustainable energy and all forms of machines, which will allow us to live in a more sustainable future, which will decrease our chances of extinction. And I think that's a huge use case that a lot of climate activists aren't talking about.
I agree. I mean, there's if you can run a house based on solar power, I don't understand why it isn't used more in businesses. It's definitely the reasons that you've said. You know, if you have contracts with X, Y, or Z to use whatever they're providing to you, or if people don't want, the electric company doesn't want you to be off the grid, you know, by incentivizing you in some way to not convert over to solar energy, that's a whole situation there as well. But if it can power a house, it can be designed to power a business. It can't be that much more difficult.
And there's different problem areas that it can solve. For example, one of the biggest producers of carbon in the atmosphere is cars. There's so many cars all over, and you know, we see the highways, especially you're in LA, like you go out on the highways and you know, you see all the smog and like,
right.
Obviously this is bad for the environment. Like, why don't we just not do it? And you know, like saying these things, it's super simple in an ideological sense. Like, well, why don't you just make solar cars, right? There's all these different obstacles that we have to overcome. Some that we have control of, sometimes that we don't have control of, in order to get to this point in the world. But I think the collective consciousness has reached a point where a lot of us understand that there needs to be some sort of change to, you know, pollution and climate crisis and all that stuff. And we can come up with we can prototype these solutions in the metaverse and, you know, train these solutions with artificial intelligence, then allow for these solutions to propagate in the real world, which is the huge use case of metaverse, artificial intelligence, and blockchain.
Exactly. It's and with the bill that was passed through Congress for that had climate change, but then as for using more incentive to use electric cars and for manufacturers to create more electric cars to cut down on the pollution from fossil fuels. It's going to be, I think, it'll go a long way in helping to hopefully help reverse some of the damage that we've done before it gets too far ahead. And I think people are realizing now with the climate change that they want a plan left for their kids and their grandkids. And if we keep going the direction we're going in now, it's going to be a very different planet.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm always perplexed when people are more concerned about living on other planets than preserving the one that we live on now, because there's no guarantee that life on other planets is going to be better. Like, we have a pretty good life right here, right? We have an atmosphere. Mars doesn't have an atmosphere. Like, we have plants and trees, and we have an ocean that we can go. You know, there's clean water that falls out the sky every once in a while. You know, like, yeah. we have so much good things going on. It's just it's up to us to preserve what we have going on. And, you know, I think this is where the community aspect of blockchain comes into play, because each individual is a carrier of value, right? And when they collaborate with other individuals, when they come together with other individuals, they create impact, right? So one individual can't really do that much. Doesn't matter how much money he has or doesn't have. Like one individual, it's hard to make any changes. When we have groups of individuals coming together, aligned on a single goal, saying, hey, we see a problem area here and we want to focus on it, like within over a period of time, that problem will either be solved or progress will be made towards that problem. And I think instead of the corporate model that we currently exist in right now, where like one person has to build a company around this idea and then like focus this idea on whatever issue they want to focus on and make money from, and in this model, right, there's a head and everyone follows the head. But in a decentralized model of a community, there is multiple heads and people opt into which idea they want to follow most, right? Do we want to follow like the type 3 civilization? Like, for example, people in the Medallion XLN community, do we want to follow the type 3 civilization model? Do we want to follow the asset management model? Do we want to follow like the artificial intelligence model? Like there's all these different models and systems and incentives that we could opt into. And it's all about creating like an incentive structure that no matter what direction we go, like people will always be rewarded and always be compensated for whatever contribution they make. Right. And that's like the huge benefit of open source technology. Like you can make more progress when a group of individuals loosely connected to you contribute than if like it's just you and you're just the only one focused on whatever issue you're working on, right? So this is what I go back to. Like this is the new capitalism model. And we're ahead of the game because a lot of people who might be new to blockchain, and I'm talking about like this new model, this new community-based model, like they don't know what I'm talking about. They're like, "What are you talking about?" But like people who are existing in blockchain and have been a part of different communities and seen the impact that communities can have, they understand like, okay, so this is like the direction that the future is going to. Like different problems are going to be abstracted into various communities, and these communities are going to work together to solve different problems. And there's going to be incentive model for all these communities to be rewarded while solving these different problems, right? And that's I don't know if someone has coined that term yet, but that's definitely the kind of understanding that I'm working on and that Medallion XLN is trying to take full advantage of.
Question for you. How do exactly do collaborations work in the metaverse?
Right. So collaborations are important. Collaborations are super important, right? And one of the platforms that are out now that illustrate how collaboration can work in the metaverse is Decentraland. And Decentraland is pretty much a blockchain-based metaverse where you can buy land in this virtual space and then build land, build whatever you want on top of this land, right? And I think I saw news a few months ago that like a property in this space sold for like $1 million or something like that. Some crazy amount for a virtual world, right? And so collaboration is going to work in the metaverse by people like contributing like their assets. And Medallion XLN, we want to make it as easy as possible for people to contribute new assets to different worlds based on their permissions, right? And permissions are an important part of Medallion because, when you create a new asset, let's say, like a new digital asset, you want to be in control of that digital asset. You want to be in control over who has access to it, who is are they allowed to share it? How are they allowed to share it? Can they sell it as well? Can they sell your asset and make money off of it, and you'll be compensated as well, or can only you sell assets or shares in your asset and be compensated? So there's a lot of different attributes and customizable features around assets, around permissions, right? And from what I know, Medallion XLN is the only type of company creating such an interface, right? Because I've always felt like I'm 5 years ahead. I'm 5 years ahead of everything. Like I came up with the idea for like a interoperable metaverse like 5 years ago. And now that there are interoperable metaverses, I have like a whole nother set of ideas for 5 years from now, right? So it's all about positioning ourselves and building a product that is, I feel like, that is understandable, that is simple, but is effective, right? And allows collaboration. It streamlines collaboration, because I think that's what is going to make the metaverse into a game changer. Because right now, metaverse is like I can go to the metaverse. Like I have a MetaQuest 2 and I can go there and I can play around and stuff, but I don't really care. Like, it doesn't really affect me. It's not like a mind blowing experience. Like, oh, I need to go back. It's more like, okay, I did that. Now I'm going to go watch some anime.
I guess in Decentraland, you could buy the land, say for $1 million, whatever person paid for it, and then you could maybe try to collab with like a Saks Fifth Avenue or Tiffany's to actually build a building on that virtual land in a metaverse where people can actually shop at Tiffany's or Saks that was built on that land, but they can't build on that land unless you permit them to do so.
Yeah. That's how I think it works. And if that's not how it works, correct me in the comments. So I think that use case is like, because it's a very direct correlation between our world and this virtual world, right? Because we have like a physical location in our world that we can go to what's the word I'm looking for? Interface with that brand, right? And then there's a digital location in the virtual world that we can go to interface with that brand, right? And I think what's really going to set the metaverse apart from like websites is the fact that you can actually go into this world and interface with this brand, pick up the products, look around, there's probably going to be technology that makes it feel like you're actually holding a product, right? You can actually pick up a product, examine it, right? Put it back down, right? And walk around and really, and it doesn't have to, because like when you go to Saks Fifth Avenue, they have like budgetary constraints, right? So as much as I'm sure they would love to have this elaborate, like beautiful store with like different elements, right? It's not feasible. It doesn't make any sense. Like, right? But if you, in this virtual world, you can make your brand anything you want. You can make it into, a magical rainforest of crystals and magical creatures that greet you and say, "Hey, would you like to purchase this dress?" Like all types of things. So I think creativity wise, I think like the problem that I'm seeing a lot of brands do right now is they are like they're trying to do a one-to-one, right? It's like, this is what our Taco Bell looks like in the real world. This is what our Taco Bell is going to look like in the metaverse. But if we expand on the idea a little bit, like, it's not a store, right? Your Taco Bell is not a store. Your Taco Bell in the metaverse is a world, right? So there's different aspects of that world that you can interface with. And like, what I want to do with Medallion XLN is allow people to build these huge virtual monoliths that don't feel like it's just like a cash grab. I want people to feel like they're immersed. They're in a whole new world with new people. They're making friends. All this stuff. Like when Facebook first came out, right? Facebook first came out, it was exciting. It was like, oh man, I haven't seen this guy in 15 years. How you doing? Right? And he'll respond, how you doing? I haven't seen you in 15 years. What's been up? Right? And that was such a shift, such a game changer. Like, I could connect with this person I haven't seen in forever. And now the metaverse is kind of a similar game changer, but instead of like connecting with old people, it's like a whole new world of like meeting new people and interfacing with their avatars, right? And you ask them, hey, what other metaverse worlds are you into? And they'll tell you, hey, I'm into this world, I'm into that world, and you could join our community. And it's very interesting. I feel like right now we're in kind of like, as far as phases are concerned, we're definitely in the beginning phase of the metaverse, but like we're probably like 1 or 2 steps into the beginning phase of the metaverse. And what I mean by that is like there's I feel like a lot of the ideas haven't really come into fruition yet. Like, people are at this moment are transferring their 3D virtual games into the metaverse, right? And making that into like their virtual world. But once they realize that this is more than just a game, this is like a whole new world that you could teleport to and interface with other people and build a community, and you could possibly even live there and order KFC and have them deliver to your real world door, right? Like, there's so many new possibilities. And I think that the contribution that Medallion XLN is going to make is going to be so significant, but so understated as well. Because like we're not interested in building a metaverse. We're interested in building the building blocks for people to build the metaverse, right? And we want everyone to create their assets and be able to track their assets and interface with their assets. We want their avatars to have different functions, have a dash function that allows them to dodge really heavy attacks. We want people to collaborate with each other, come together as a group and say, hey, we're in this world, let's go slay a dragon, right? Let's go slay a dragon together with our avatars. Let's go, build a whole new community. Let's use some of this money that we're generating from just interfacing in the metaverse, thanks to blockchain, and let's go freaking build like a real life replica in the real world, right? And then there's these things called Metaverse cameras, right? Where you can set up a set of cameras in the real world and then put on your VR goggles and it'll be just like you're there. You're walking around and stuff. I think Horizon Labs, which is like a meta company, I think they had a performance or a concert with Post Malone. I didn't see it because I don't care, but it's pretty interesting, right? Like people can go to concerts in the metaverse now. Now, what does that even mean? Like, like that also goes into one of our use cases, which is live events. Like if we think about if we think about a live event, right?
Right.
Like imagine being in one of the championship games that the Bulls won, like in the 90s with Michael Jordan playing, and you're in the stands and you're cheering and stuff, and it's a great experience, right? Now imagine saving that experience as an asset and then selling that experience for anyone else to experience. Like they can be in the stands in 1996 looking around like, oh, wow, look at all the stuff that people are wearing. Look at this guy's shoes. Look at Michael Jordan. He just dunked and the whole stadium is going wild. You can really relive these experiences as NFT assets. And I think that's where the future is. And that's where Medallion really wants to plant its flag. Right?
Right.
Yeah. All right.
That's very cool.
10 minutes.
So let's talk about our NFTs a little more.
Right. So our NFTs are unique to the market because, like I mentioned before, they give you permissions to determine who has access to these NFTs. They give you the ability to track dependencies across multiple users or multiple contributors. They give you, a very, very, very big thing, the shareholder feature in each NFT. So Medallion XLN's NFT is different from other NFTs, obviously, but I think one of the big parts is you don't actually sell your NFT, right? You sell access to your NFT, which is different.
Exactly.
So instead of you selling your NFT and then that person just owns your NFT forever and does whatever they want with it, which is cool, up to you or whatever. But instead of you selling it, you own your NFT, and then now you give access to other people to be shareholders in your NFT. So when other people get access or become shareholders in your NFT, you guys share the profits, right? So the main user or the main owner of the NFT, he gets the lion's share of the profit, and a 1% distribution fee goes to all the shareholders. So that means if a asset sells for $100, like 1% of $100 is $1, and there's 27 owners or it's 27 shareholders in that asset, then $1 gets distributed amongst 27 shareholders, and so on and so forth. But at the point of 27, like the people who are in it earlier, they have received like that distribution over and over and over based on each transaction that has happened, right? So it's a way for you to generate passive income, There's also the supernode feature, and what a supernode is that, people who are really building out the ecosystem, the Medallion XLN ecosystem, they get rewarded for doing that to incentivize them to continue that behavior, right? So they get a little 0.05% fee of every single transaction, regardless if they're a shareholder in that transaction in that asset or not. It's just to incentivize them to continue building and continue doing their thing. Now, there's a little cheat, right? Which is
Right.
the official Medallion XLN corporate art NFT. And what we do with those corporate art NFTs is that whoever owns it, owns is the address owner of those NFTs, they automatically join the supernode pool and get that distribution on every single transaction that happens in the Medallion network. So that's another incentive for our NFTs to sell really well and have a huge floor price. We're looking for 25 ETH per NFTs. Let's do it, guys. New board Ape Yacht Club. Yeah. So, that's a pretty good conversation we just had.
I think so. So what is it you want our audience, our subscribers, our future subscribers to know that maybe you haven't shared so far?
I want you guys to know that even talking about this project for an hour, there's so much more that I have not said. And there's so much more planned, like smart cities. We plan to do that. We plan to integrate Medallion to every single aspect of the traditional digital market. We plan to completely revolutionize just digital assets as a whole, as well as the asset management industry as a whole. We want to make it completely decentralized. We want each user to be in control of their own data. We want to build a type 3 civilization. We want every single community member in Medallion XLN to be able to contribute however they see fit, right? And we just want to do cool things, right? We want to build cool things, new things, build flying cars eventually, build like giant robots, skyscrapers, all types of stuff, all types of interesting out the box stuff. And we can't do any of that without your support. So continue commenting on the newsletters, continue liking all our newsletters, follow us on Twitter, like all the posts, retweet all of them. Follow us on Facebook, like the Facebook page, share all the posts, go to our OpenSea, buy all the NFTs.
All of them.
Every single one of them. Every single one of them. Sell your house.
Maybe not that far.
Maybe not that far. But, there's we have so many cool ideas and cool things that we're working on. And, we have a very strong team. Gary's our chief acquisitions officer. That friendly face is who you're going to be talking to whenever you join your business to the Medallion XLN network. There's so much things that we have planned, and we just want everyone to be a part of this journey. And, we give God all the glory. I'm a huge believer in Jesus, and, Jesus has transformed my life. So I give Jesus all the glory, give God all the glory. And, we just look forward to all the things that we have planned in the future and just doing great things and being disruptive.
Amen to all that.
Yep. We want to disrupt the disruptors pretty much.
That's what we do.
Yep. So you should plug some stuff yourself, Gary. Don't you have stuff going on?
Nothing yet. Well, I have things going on. They have not been, they're not out for distribution yet. So when it gets closer to that time, I'll let you know.
Okay, cool. But in the meantime, go to his website, IamGaryRobinson.com. I made it. And if you want to, book him for some movies, it's a great face to be in your movie. And it's great advertising for us.
I'll be right there.
Do your part.
And this is my kind of homage to the upcoming Black Panther 2. I actually wore this at the opening of Black Panther with about 40 of my friends, and we went to see it when it opened that weekend. So look forward to seeing the second part. And I'm available for the third one. I'm just saying. So
Kevin Feige, where you at? Like,
see?
we got a King T'Chaka or something like that. I forgot his name. The father of Black Panther. But anyway, got 8 minutes. Like I'm such a stickler. I want every single episode to be 1 hour and 10 minutes exactly. So I'm just gonna waste time. Waste like the last minute until it's over. So, ask me a question, bro. Like, supposed to be.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you first.
Oh, I was saying that we have 1 minute left, 45 seconds left, and I want it to be exactly 1 hour and 10 minutes. So, ask me a question or say some words.
Okay, I will ask you a question. How long ago did you conceive this idea?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I conceived this idea back in 2017 around the time of CryptoKitties, and I've just been working through it. Like I have a notebook. I just been jotting it down, and I'm pretty happy that it's gotten to this point. And with 8 seconds left, that's all, folks.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time at Medallion XLN.
Bye.
Bye-bye.